In June of 2016, the number 2 player in Smash Wii U, Ally, would defeat the best player in the game, Zero, at Smash and Splash 2, tying up their set record to 3-3. This would not just set up Smash 4's long-standing rivalry, but also the defining event in the game's history, all stemming from a single tweet 1 month later. 2GG Civil War was an event designed around players taking sides of the rivalry, mimicking the Marvel comic event. Players who entered were either #Team Zero or #Team Ally, and these teams would compete in 5 various categories, and if the events were won by players from a certain team, the team would take home the event. This included 10v10 crew battle with some of the best in the game choosing player sides. But what truly made this event special compared to any other wasn't the theming, but the talent. Civil War had the most top 50 players signed up compared to any other tournament in Modern Smash's history, even to this day, with 47 out of 50 in attendance. This bracket is one of, if not potentially single-handedly, the hardest one to win of any Smash title in the world. Add on, it was a big event for 2GG's own circuit during the year, and the entrants poured in, standing as the biggest event during the whole circuit. So, let's dive into the bracket, the mayhem, and the storylines of what makes this one of the most memorable events in Smash's history. The crew battle was one of the biggest draws to the event, sitting at the time as the most stacked one ever, with each player on the winning team walking away with $1,000. That being said, Team Zero looked like the favorite going into the battle, as some player results have definitely changed over the past 9 months. But the crew battle actually remained incredibly competitive throughout, with Renai and Larry Lure being MVPs for Team Zero, and Ally and Mars pushing through for Team Ally. But it all changed once Komi Kiri, the best Cloud from Japan and one of the best in the world, would go on an absolute tear. He cleaned up Mr. E's last stock, then had an insane 3-stock in Mr. R with the finishing touch comeback, and would bring Team Ally to their very last remaining stock, taking 2 from Kimeme. MKLeo would then come in as Team Zero's anchor to seal the deal, claiming the first battle in the Civil War. Now, while the crew battle was a big draw, the big story from this event doesn't really come from it, but more so from the bracket, and the absolute mayhem that occurred from pools all the way to top cut. Hey, just want to make a brief intermission here to ask you to subscribe. I really want to hit 10k subs before the mid-year, and it means a lot to me. It only feels right to start with a closer look at the headliners of the event, Zero and Ally. They both stood as the top 2 players in Smash 4, but had some roadblocks going into this event. Zero was coming off a hot streak, and while he's still won a few majors so far this year, taking the first 2 events of the 2GG circuit and Frostbite, he was looking as vulnerable as ever. Losing to Kirihara at Frame Perfect Series, and finding uncharacteristic loss to the Duck Hunt player Brood at Genesis, leading to a 3rd place finish after getting eliminated by Ally. And that rivalry against Ally has shifted to be a lot more one-sided since Smash and Splash 2, going from a tied 3-3 record to 3-6 in Ally's favor with a whopping 6 loss streak against his foil. Ally, on the other hand, had struggled to find a major win in months. He found some 2nd place finishes, but his last gold medal was at EVO over Kameme 9 months ago. At the time, many were hoping the grand finals was going to be a duel to settle the war, but unfortunately, a force of the occult haunts the 2GG events, and that is known as the 2GG curse. You see, each 2GGT is themed, whether around a singular player, or a group of players playing a certain character, or even potentially a whole different region. 2GG would fly those players out to these events to compete, making them highly competitive. But no event has ever been won by the featured players. They always fail to win the tournament. In a more pragmatic view, it was likely the mental pressure to perform when an event is under your name. But would that apply to the top 2 players, people who have won plenty of events prior? Let's start with Zero. How did he fare? In a shocking turn of events, he'd fall to losers before even making top 96, losing 1-2 to SoCal player Xax. Then, in what might be his most experienced matchup from his early rivalry with Nairo, he faces a solid Arizona Zero Suit Samus player named Lutai. Now, what should have been another easy matchup for Zero turned into this.
Whenever oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Over! Lutai beats Zero! Lutai!
After losing the Game 5 set, Zero placed his lowest tournament placement ever throughout his entire career in Smash 4, leaving the tournament at 49th. Now, what about Ally? Ally's run would start solidly, taking down one of Sheik's best players, Vinny, but would come across his first big threat in top 96. His first/previous set against Locust was a close 2-1, and Ryu is a character who can capitalize on poor execution or the inability to find stocks, especially with Smash 4's 2-stock rule set and rage mechanics. And Locust this set definitely took advantage of that, sending Ally to losers in a 3-1 victory. Ally would start cleaning it up a bit in losers, defeating fellow Mario player Zenyu, plus a set after he'd have to play Esam, a player who he has a clean record on so far, and the character advantage, as Mario was pretty strong into Pikachu. This forced Esam on the back foot, as he started the set with Mewtwo instead, and lost. This meant Esam had a decision to make. He can try once again with Pikachu in what has been an uphill battle before, or he can find his answer much lower down the tier list and do this.
But on the side, and he gets that there. There's the bomb, and Ally just doesn't have a jump to recover to see Esam rise to prominence once more. Nice. Now he gets him with the dash attack.
Gets the dash. Forward air definitely hit the ground. Forward air sees him lag. Up smash, however, just barely living there. That's it. That's it.
Didn't quite come to pass. And
Nice.
Ally getting hit by that Nair ab, coming out disrupting Mario's grab. Ally's on the top platform. He's got to get down from there, but instead he's going to take the back air.
He's done it.
Esam pops off. Esam has defeated Ally, destroyed his demon, and ended the Civil War.
Esam would defeat his demon 3-1, ending Ally's run at 25th. 2GG's bell tolls for yet another player's soul. With this many heavy hitters in one bracket, the pressure to perform was on, and that means upsets, upsets, upsets. I'm not going to talk about every single one because there were just so many before we got to top 96, but even that early in the bracket, there were some top seeds falling pretty early. After sparsely competing these past few months, Foe still showed he can take names, defeating top seed Larry Lur. A Sonic player named Meteor sent MK Leo to losers, and this is 2 months after Leo just won a second major event, Genesis, and Shulk had quite the tournament, with Nico upsetting both EU's second best player Gluttony and top Mario Anti to make top 96. And with his second time overseas, Komi made big waves with an upset over at the time upcoming top player Tweak. Once we got to top 96, it started with 5 of the top 16 seeds already in losers, with the top 2 seeds included. The biggest takeaway though was Japan's consistency in this bracket. The majority of the invading players were able to make it to top 32. These players made it through either as projected through their seed, or took spots that originally had higher seed players who were upset, or caused upsets themselves, such as Japan's best DK player Hikaru beating Void, and Shuton sweeping Salem. Top 96 was a bloodbath of top talent across all of the bracket. Top player defeated this top player defeated that top player. But there was one highlight run across the top 96 losers. Coming off his first top 8 at a major a month ago, AC would find quite the run. After falling to losers to Abadango and Pools, yes, these two had to play in pools, AC took MKLeo to game 5 and won, and then proceeded to make top 32, also defeating the best Robin in the game, Dath, and the Cat, ending their run at 25th. By the end of top 96, 5 of the top 16 seeds were out of the tournament, 3 being top 8 seeds, and 4 of them were in losers. Less than half the top 16 remained in winners, but were not in the clear for top 8 just yet. Top 32 was not too different, with this event feeling like any player could win any set. In winners, Captain Zack would beat the best pit player, Earth, and upset Europe's #1 player, Mr. R, to make top 8. The king of consistency, Dabuz, would halt Japan's advances, defeating Shuton and Kirihara in the Rosa Ditto. Fatality would cause a double upset, sending Japan's Cloud Extraordinaire Komir Kiri to losers, and finally beat Nairo for the first time in bracket. And to finalize top 8 winner side was T. No, not Pac-Man T, Link T, who after having a pretty lackluster challenge to top 96, had back-to-back team takedowns, defeating fellow Japanese player Sue, who just got second at Frostbite a month ago, and Abadango in a Game 5 set, debuting in the top 8 of a major for the first time ever, with a low-tier character of all characters. Despite losing to Dabuz, that didn't stop Kirihara from securing a top 8 position. He beat Larry Lur, who, despite falling to losers before top 96, made quite the lengthy losers run all the way to 9th. Another player on an impressive losers run was Mars. After losing to the villager legend Renai, Mars took win after win over Tweak, Nietono, Fallen, and Abadango to crawl into top 8. Remember Locust from earlier? He lost to Kirihara in winners, but also pushed his way into his first major top 8, beating top players such as Samsora, Shuton, and Nairo, and the last one to make it was another Japanese surprise. After upsetting Void in winners, he lost to Abadango's Rosalina of all characters. But Hikaru had a crazy losers run as well, taking down Esam, Sue, and Mr. R. This top 8 was entirely unexpected. The Buzz was the only top 8, hell, one of the 2 top 16 seeds to even make it to the top cut. And when you look at the player seeds, it gets even more wacky. 5 of them were not even a top 20 seed, with T being the lowest seeded player to make top 8 at a Smash 4 Major at seed 66. With all of the best in one room, the fact that this top 8 only had one previous Major winner in his 3rd year into the game was pretty insane. And of all players, it was Kirihara, who just won his first Major a literal week ago at Frame Perfect Series. Needless to say, it was pretty much any player's game on who could take home the win. Top 8 started off as expected. Hikaru pulled another unfortunate matchup against Rosalina again, losing to Kirihara. And Mars and Locust would have a back and forth Game 5 set, with Mars advancing on in losers. In winners, DeBuzz just got past Captain Zack in another Game 5 set, and T continued his insane run, beating Fatality and guaranteeing a top 3 finish with Link. Back in losers, Captain Zack would quickly eliminate Mars, even forcing out a secondary. And then we had Fatality versus Kirihara. After a severe percentage deficit, Fatality makes a crazy comeback to take Game 1, and would take that momentum to JV2 stock Kirihara in Game 2. But Kirihara would barely eke out Game 3 and utilize the momentum to respond with his own JV2 stock in Game 4 with a brutal edge guard. But Game 5, Fatality turned up the heat and 2-stocked Kirihara out of the tournament. That was it. There were no previous Major winners left in bracket. The hardest tournament of all time will be won by someone who hasn't won anything like this before. And each player left had their own story to be here. DeBuzz, the consistency wall in a game filled with inconsistent results. He has not placed below top 16 at any event yet, and defeating DeBuzz was almost like a rite of passage to be considered a top player in this game. But he has been stuck in the always a bridesmaid, never a bride syndrome, falling just short of first at numerous majors these past 2 years. And next to him in winners was T on a Cinderella run of a generation. These past few months, it felt like a new Japanese player was popping off in America, but this felt different. Every character that has won a major so far has been considered a top tier, at the very least good. Link was neither of those things. For a character like that to win a game filled with incredibly strong top tiers would be pretty unprecedented. In losers, we have Fatality, who's made it this far at a major tournament only once before. After being called out by Zero that all Falcon players suck and aren't pushing the meta, he showcased why that wasn't the case and claimed the title of the best Falcon player over him. And lastly was Captain Zack, a new Bayonetta on the rise, coming off of a top 4 finish at Genesis. The stage was set. A new winner was upon us. DeBuzz and T step up to determine who gets the advantage of being in winner's side of Grand Finals. And it was not close. Down losers was kind of the same story, as Fatality would also beat Captain Zack 3-0, leading to his rematch against T. He lost to the Link player earlier 3-1 in top 8, but momentum was much more on his side after T's beating. While the games were close, Fatality's execution and insane footstool combos brought him a ticket to Grands. This was it. The winner of the hardest tournament ever was 1 to 2 sets away from being determined. DeBuzz and Fatality have played a few times before, with the record being 2-1 in DeBuzz's favor. But DeBuzz doesn't play Rosalina into Falcon. You see, prior to Smash 4, DeBuzz was a prolific Olimar player in Brawl, and occasionally he would use that latent transfer of experience in Smash 4, despite Olimar being a significantly worse character than his previous iteration. His Rosa's lost before to Fatality at SmashCon 2015, and after reverse 3ing home with Olimar at SmashCon the next year, it became his choice in the matchup. But Fatality was playing hot, coming off of double 3-0ing his past 2 opponents. So both players lock in their pilots, buckle in their seats, and put the pedal to the metal. 3, 2, 1, go.
So fast. Okay. Oh my god! Oh yeah, there it is. The buzz! Takes really long! Oh yeah, that's gonna be a KO. That coverage is just insane. Is he gonna be able to come back outside? Yes, it is. Okay, stop. Oh! Already at 108? This man needs a prayer. Probably needs the crowd as well. Oh, but that's smash! And the boss off! That is it! The boss is your champion at Civil War!
DeBuzz finally does it. Since actively competing in Smash since 2009, he wins his first major ever 7 years later, and proves that above all else, when push comes to shove, when every top player in the world is sitting in the same room, that consistency is king. and the King of New York finally gets to comfortably sit on his throne. So, during writing and editing this video, something unprecedented happened. The original thesis of this video was to explain why this tournament would most likely never be replicated. But somehow, 6 years into Ultimate's lifespan, a tournament popped up that can rival Civil War's most stacked title. As of the time that I'm recording this, Kagaribi 13 currently has tied with Civil War 47 at the top 15 attendance, but even beyond that has something along the lines of like between 80 to 90 of the top 100 signed up for the event, pretty much claiming the title of most stacked Smash tournament of all time. And prior to this event, there hasn't even been an Ultimate event that has been even capable of hitting 40 of the top 50. This can be due to, say, the international globality of the game compared to, say, Smash Wii U, where more of the top 50 isn't just from the US. Now you have players from Japan and Europe and even other places across the world. And what's crazy about this event is it's outside of what used to be the center of Smash. An event completely antithesis to others, where players are competing for zero prize money. It's a tournament for pretty much competing at the pure love of the game. But can this tournament be another Civil War? Will there ever be one like Civil War again? No. The stories of Civil War were built off of rivalries and, frankly, underseeded Japanese players showcasing their talent. It had a spectacle to it with all of the unique player artwork and the crew battle and the teams and the event not just being one whole bracket. And with the outcome of Civil War, where you had this top 8 of one of the biggest tournaments of all time filled with players who never won a major before, is just not something likely to happen 6 months into Ultimate's lifespan. Prior to Civil War, there were only 9 major winners before that event for Smash Wii U's tournament lifespan at that time. Currently, for Ultimate going into Kagaribi 13, at the time of recording this, there is a lifetime 42 major winners for Smash Ultimate. And a majority of those players are still actively competing today at the top level, like a good majority of them. So I really don't think we're gonna hit anything on the same spectacle just due to how hard it would be for that to really happen. And if it does happen, I hope it's the buzz. It's the only good answer. So no, I don't think Kagaribi 13 is the Smash Ultimate Civil War. I think it's Smash Ultimate's Kagaribi 13. I think it could be something completely different, something more memorable, and has its own stories to tell between Japan becoming the dominant region and having to defend itself for the first time, and now taking the claim as the most stacked Smash tournament of all time, and will have its own story, and will be memorable for something completely else. But that is a story we will have to wait and see for just a little longer. Thanks for watching. With Kagaribi 13 looking to be the most stacked Smash tournament of all time, I wanted to take a look back at the tournament that had previously held the moniker, as long as everyone doesn't DQ or something like that. So if you enjoyed this, please consider liking and subscribing. It means a lot to me. And if you really enjoyed this, I do have a Patreon if you want to support me that way to put out more videos at a more frequent pace. And yeah, I'll see you all next time.